it is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Do you agree?
Yes.
You are knowing what you are wanting?
Yes.
You are among the rare humans who have come to appreciate the contrast of your time and place?
Yes. Yes.
Your lips say yes. We've noticed as we ask this question, it is our favorite question, and your answer is the most important answer. And we notice that you more readily mean yes to that question when contrast is very slight, and that the more exaggerated the contrast is, the more you lie to us. It is easier to say yes, we appreciate contrast, when you are looking out into your world and everything you see is easy to feel good while you look at it. And we know it is more difficult when your attention is drawn to those things that as you give your attention to them, you feel discomfort, and then your logical human response is, we just need to get rid of anything that makes us feel uncomfortable. And we're wanting you to remember that as long as that is your plan, you're going to have a hard time, because the entire universe has been established to provide contrast and difference and variety, and you knew it coming in. You never ever expected that anyone would organize this time-space reality so that it contained only things that pleased the individual called you. You knew that variety was essential to the forming of new conclusions or determinations or desire. You knew that desire could not happen within you without contrast that produces it. And further, and most importantly, you knew, part of you still knows, that that contrast that produces the desire is the summoning of life forward, and that our literal eternity is dependent upon the existence of contrast. So can you feel how simple this is? You're standing in the middle of an environment, and let's say something happens, not too hard to imagine, something happens that you really would not choose, something that you are so opposed to, something that you cannot even fathom, something that you really do not want to happen. And in the midst of all of this contrast is born within you a desire for something different from that, a balancing desire born out of you. And in the moment that that desire is born, source energy goes to work on responding to it. And instantaneously, you as an individual or you as collective consciousness would come back into balance if you are able to find harmony with the desire that you've given birth to. If you give birth to a desire and you do it all day, every day, and that desire shoots out of you like this flashing rocket, and then you spend more of your time talking about where you are and how you have been traumatized into that desire rather than talking about what the desire is and how that feels, then you might be, like so many physical humans, you might be, without even knowing it, holding yourself in vibrational harmony with the very thing that you do not want that gave birth to what you do want, but you must be a vibrational match to what you do want in order to let it in. The three parts to the deliberate creative process are, first, ask. Well, we really do not need to hold workshops on asking, do we? Because the contrast that surrounds you continually puts you in fully conscious, sometimes unconscious, but always asking places. You're not asking with your words while you can. You are asking with the vibration that emanates from you. You are asking whether you know you are asking or not, and the universe hears every single request. So the first step is ask. The second step is not your work at all. Universal forces, universal source energy, God force, creative life force, whatever you're wanting to give title, answers. But the third part is really your work, and that is you must let it in. You must be in the receiving mode. So the art of allowing, we think, is a very nice title. Because what it says is, I want to be in the receiving mode. I want to be in the mode of letting it in. And it is the most easy thing in the world to teach, because when you are in the receiving mode, you always feel good. Good feels good. So if you are feeling frustration, it means you're not in the receiving mode of something you want. If you're feeling anger, it means you're not in the receiving mode of something you want. So you ask yourself, well, how have I been feeling lately? What's my mood? What's my attitude? What's my letting it in? Sometimes you notice that relative to different subjects, you feel different ways. If we were standing in your physical shoes, if there was any subject that was upsetting to us, we would do our very best not to focus upon it. If there was any subject that thrilled us, we would do our very best to give it a larger proportion of our attention. Because this time-space reality is this perfectly balanced place that is large enough to accommodate every desire that every one of you could ever hold. So the world doesn't need to be changed in order for you to live a joyful life experience. You just have to set your tuner to joyful experience. As humans, you say, well, I have a hard time only focusing upon what I want. And we say, you don't have to only focus upon what you want. You can give your attention all over the place. But it is our clear recommendation that if you find yourself giving your attention to something that begins to produce uneasiness or any range of negative emotion within you, use that guidance in the same way you would use the guidance in your fingertips. As you find yourself laying on a hot stove, you wouldn't say, I don't think I should have to take my fingers from this stove. I think I should be able to put my hands on any hot object that I choose. And we say, we think so too. We think you have the full, absolute right to lay your hands on any hot stove you choose. The question is, where is your threshold for pain? The more sensitive your hands are, and the more unwilling to endure pain, the longer your hands will last. The more sensitive you are emotionally, and the more unwilling you are to endure discomfort, then the more joyful you will be. The longer you will be in the receiving mode, the more exalted your physical life experience will be. So then you say, but I've been trained to be objective. And we say, you were sort of born with that feeling. You were born with this curiosity. You were born with this desire to peruse. It's all part of the sorting, sifting process. And you know, you can do quite a bit of perusing, quite a bit of contemplating, quite a bit of probing before you begin to feel strong emotion about things. But when you begin to develop something as strong as something that you would call fear or anger or blame, then it's time to stop and say, wait, I may be holding myself consistently or powerfully apart from what I really want. At the outset here today, we want to remind you of something really important, and we think sometimes you've forgotten this. You certainly knew it when you came forth into your physical body. But as time goes by, it becomes less and less dominant in your thinking process. You are extensions of source energy. And this source energy of which you are a part is this pure, high, fast, delicious, loving vibration of well-being. It is the stuff, it is the energy of well-being, and it is the only stream that flows. When you, by virtue of what you are choosing to think about, are allowing a fullness of that stream to flow to you and through you, you thrive. And you can never really get very far apart from it, because even if you did find thoughts that were not in harmony with it, and even if you did pinch yourself off from it enough that you withered and eventually croak, In that reemergence back into source energy, you would be fully flowing with the energy again. So there was never any great risk. Also, we want to say to you that that is not the only thing that causes any of you to make your transition into source energy. Death is not about pinching yourself off from the source. Sometimes you just want source energy so powerfully that you achieve vibrational harmony with it, and death is the answer that comes. Allowing means letting yourself be the loved, loving, healthy, vibrant, brilliant, eternal, joyous, wealthy, in regards to all things that you consider to be good, being that you really are, that you've come forth to be. You're doing a very good job. As we feel the vibration of that which is you, we can feel that you are among the most allowing of those on your planet. You live in an environment you've been taught by those who have come before you to allow proportionately in the scope of human experience in a very wonderful way. And we understand and want you to understand that this is truly a gathering of fine-tuning. Your world is not broken, and neither are you. And it is not critical that you understand this because you're doing all right anyway. We just think that it is so much more fun to deliberately set forth an idea and then to deliberately achieve vibrational harmony with it, so that you are aware of all of the nuances and circumstances and events that the universe lines up for you in response to what you've asked for. To be a deliberate creator out here on the leading edge, it just does not get any better than that. Your source energy is flowing to you and through you always. And sometimes you hear it more clearly than others. And this gathering is about helping you to be so aware of who you are and who your inner being is and how it feels to be fully functioning energy in this time-space reality, that you are thriving consciously in the way that you have intended. You said, I'll go forth and I'll bang around in the contrast. And as the contrast helps me to identify what I want, then my work will begin. Once you've identified what you want, then what you are about begins. And that is to bring yourself, thought by thought, step by step, moment by moment, feeling by feeling, closer and closer, closer and closer to the vibration of your own desire. So it's a wonderful thing that when you ask, you don't receive it instantaneously, because you might want to fine-tune it. You might, maybe you don't. Maybe you just say, I want it, give it to me. But when you realize that all you have to do is be a vibrational match to what you're asking for, and when you start to notice how much fun it is to gently bring yourself into vibrational harmony with what you are wanting, we do not believe that any of you would opt for instant manifestations. It's so much more fun to mold things gently into place. Every now and again you'll have a quantum leap. You'll want something so much that the vibration of your desire is so powerful that just for a moment you will be a vibrational match to your desire, and you will have a manifestation that matches it. But those quantum leaps usually do not last very long, because most of you cannot maintain vibrational harmony with that flash without quite a bit of practice. So sometimes you'll really, really want something, and the vibration of your desire will be so strong that it will dominate your vibration for long enough that you will have a manifestation. And for a brief moment you'll say, yippee, yahoo, I've achieved this thing that I want, only to discover that in a very short time it leaves you. And the reason is because you have not yet learned to maintain your vibrational harmony with that which you want. Don't worry about it. You can gently bring yourself back into vibrational harmony with it. We really do not recommend quantum leaps. It's one way of going about it. Quantum leap means contrast is really, really strong. So something really big happened that made me really, 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 really want something that I'm really, 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 really not a vibrational match to. But because I really, really, really want it more than I don't believe it, just briefly, because the vibration of it is so strong, I have a bam manifestation, which doesn't last very long because my habit of vibration isn't up to speed with it.